Making your way through work Monday takes everything you got. Then Monday night rolls around and you realize there's a shot. You're only 10 points away. All those times when your team had no fight, they're just so gosh darn frail. Then your star quarterback let another deep ball sail, and your third round pick bet on his team. Then go check out our streets where everybody knows your pain, and they listen to complaints. You wanna be where you can see our bodies bring you no shame. You wanna go where everybody knows your pain.
Welcome back to another episode of Dad Bod Fantasy Squad. I am here with special guest Corey Easterday. What's up, dude? Long time.
How's it going, fellas?
Not for me and Corey.
I was gonna say, me and Rob had a great old time chatting about the Vikings just a few short weeks ago. Mario was nowhere to be found. He saw I was on the guest list, and he said, "I'm gonna skip this one." So
I was like, hey, you know what? I'll just catch him at the next expo. You know, I'll talk to him there. I'm gonna skip this one. I don't remember what time you guys recorded that day, but I feel like it was morning. But maybe I'm wrong.
It was early-ish. It was like noon. It was right around noon. But
yeah, I wasn't even awake.
It doesn't matter. You missed it. It sucks. You're pretty much an asshole. So we're gonna keep it, going. It's me, Corey. It was me and Corey. We had a great time.
This is the Corey and Rob show. Maybe I should just steam myself
Mario, why
out
don't
of
you just
here.
leave? You know what?
Welcome to the Corey and Rob show with our special guest Mario.
We're back.
Glad to have everyone here.
Yeah, out of here. This is, you know what? You're right. I'm glad to be a part of your guys' show. Thank you. I wanted to read that comment. Now I already minimized it. Wifey asked me if I was watching Full House because of the intro.
Nice. Pretty
Tell
much.
her it's Cheers. Come on, Stephanie. Boys, this is going to be a fun episode. I'm already hyped up on caffeine.
Yeah,
We got some news, not really news, but maybe injury updates to keep you weary and make sure you're watching for the weekend. We got some trivia games, I should say. And then we got some start sit DFS.
I'm excited. Let's jump into it. Let's get rolling. Let's do this, sucker, so we could get out of here for the football game.
Our Bears dude is back. Bear down.
Hey, it was a tough go to start, but we still have some hopes for DJ. That's all I'll say.
Our Bears friend is gonna like my start sit segment. So
let's go.
A little tease for you.
Let's go.
Nice. All right, Robbie, kick us off with news, which should just be retitled as injury updates. Okay, you got
pretty
it.
much. Oh, let's get that sucker going. Okay, let's get J.C. Horn on the IR. Obviously, the standout cornerback from Carolina. Fantasy-wise, I think it just kind of bumps up the receivers, obviously going against Carolina for me. Mario, what do you think of that?
I think it sucks. He hasn't really been able to stay healthy, and he has a lot of talent. I'm hoping he gets better. Seeing some crazy things on Twitter that we won't talk about. Maybe once out of Carolina, and that's all. I'll leave it there. Could all be fake, but yeah, sucks to see, man.
I think that's kind of been a thing the past couple seasons, but Austin Eckler, D-Hop, Christian Watson, and Aaron Jones, all non-participants today in practice. Corey, out of these guys, who are you most worried about?
It's got to be Aaron Jones. I have him as I went pretty heavy on the wide receiver value in a lot of my drafts, which meant running back kind of fell to the wayside a little bit. So Aaron Jones is the guy I was scooping up everywhere I could possibly get him. I love the idea of him on the Packers this season, kind of helping Jordan Love get going and them as a tandem. So I was watching that game, him pulling up with that hamstring. Those injuries I'm no expert, but I know that they can linger, and definitely he makes me the most concerned. Eckler is also a concern, but that one's still kind of up in the air. So
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Aaron Jones is my biggest kind of worry for long term, right? Like the rest of the season, long term kind of play where, yeah, I was with you. I was scooping him up where I could. I have him in a few leagues, and I thought he was that guy that was going to be the catalyst of that offense, which he was week one. He can have your that's right.
Yeah.
He can have Miami. I don't care. He can take it.
I'll donate
I
mine
love-
also.
So he's
We're giving all the hamstrings.
Yeah,
All
He'll
of our
be rich in hamstring
might equal his. So I don't know.
No, there was real quick. I want to make two remarks here, and I'm sorry because I know we have to move. This always reminds me of the Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Like, oh no, not my shirt. Take my eyes before my shirt. Ian Harditz does this kind of post all the time. It cracks me up. I loved what you said there, Corey, about Aaron Jones and Jordan Love's development because we saw him propel Jordan Love. I mean, he definitely brought confidence and he brought a dynamic play to their offense that was definitely lacking that day with no Watson, Romeo Dubs, whatever his last name is, doesn't exactly show the same way up as Aaron Jones did on a huge rush and a huge catch.
And I think something, we're not even talking about, just the leadership aspect of having Aaron Jones on the field for all these young players to kind of get them aligned, tell them where to go, what to do, kind of, bring them together when they need it. Because Aaron Jones has been through it all. He's seen it all. And now if he's not there for a couple of weeks, like it could, I hope it doesn't, but it could derail, the progression of all these young guys on the offense.
Really
but moving along. Go ahead.
I was just going to say real quick, he really is in that sweet spot of veteran leadership and high productivity on the field.
Yeah.
So, yeah, well wishes.
100%. Devontae Adams and Jerry Jeudy, surprise to me, were full participants today in practice. I love it. I love Jeudy being back there this early. There was so much talk when it first happened that it could be a really long injury. But him being back this early, like I wouldn't play him this week, but it makes me hopeful for the rest of the season. What do you think, Mario?
I think it's a great sign. I think he could be, if needy, you could probably go Jeudy this week. But I understand your caution there. But they need Jeudy out there.
Yeah, yeah, they definitely need Jeudy out there after what we saw. Adams
would have been out if they lost, especially since AJ Dillon did not look good. He didn't look. There was just a couple bad plays there.
Yeah.
And
then Travis Kelce, Andrews, and James Conner all limited at practice. Corey, what's your thoughts on these three guys? Do you think there's any worries, or it's just kind of? I think they're all playing. But what do you think?
I would agree with that. I mean, everything I've been able to follow, all the public information that's out there, has been telling us to not be hugely concerned about Kelce and Andrews, especially bouncing back and making recovery. And to tease our DFS segment, one of these guys is going to be kind of crucial to the lineup I put together. So that tells you right there, I have confidence. James Conner, I haven't followed as closely because I don't have him on any of my teams, to be quite honest. But
yeah, that one was surprising to me. I would assume, for me, when I see a vet like him kind of pop up on a limited participant, or even like Devontae Adams yesterday coming in, he was a non-participant. It's one of those things where I'm like, I think they're just kind of saying that for a rest day, kind of like give him some time to recoup the body and get ready for the next week. Just especially all these older guys, that's usually what they do.
It's his calf. He has a sleeve on his calf, and he's been limited.
So it is a thing. Okay,
yeah.
So that's something to monitor for sure. I don't know who's even the backup.
Keontae Ingram.
Yeah, Keontae Ingram.
Okay, I don't know. That's a tough one. That's a tricky one.
Yeah, you don't want to. Especially because they go against Washington. I think Chase Young was upgraded to a full practice today. I wouldn't feel great about starting Keontae. So I don't even feel great about Connor necessarily this week.
Yeah.
Robbie, you ready for some Weddle?
I'm ready for the Weddle.
So we got Weddle first. Now let me see if I can zoom in a little bit here. Oh, that's zooming out. All right. Corey, have you ever played Weddle?
Are you talking about Jalen Weddle? What is this? I have no idea.
Jalen Weddle is played this way. You know what? That's going to be our first guess when we start now.
Mm-hmm.
But essentially, Weddle, I hope we're on easy because hard gets a little bit difficult. Okay, we're on easy right now. What it does is we're going to type in a name. it's going to give us a starting point. We have no reason to believe it couldn't be Jalen Waddle. They have a person that they have already selected for a day, like Wordle, and because it's a word of the day. So this is a person they have already selected. So we have no reason to believe that it's not Jalen Waddle. So we're going to go ahead and type in Jalen Waddle, and we'll go.
Did you hit it? It was Jalen
That just ruined Waddle, dude. Now Corey's like, what the hell is this game? We can't even explain it.
What are the odds of that, dude? What are the odds of that? No way. Okay, so typically, can you move that square, Mario?
Well, we can go to hard and get our ass kicked. So that's probably what we're gonna do.
Unbelievable.
Sorry, fellas. I didn't mean to ruin Weddle with my fun.
Corey, go ahead and tell us who this is now.
Travis Kelce. I don't know.
Oh my God. We do if he went 2 for 2 and just. All right.
Okay.
So now you see, I can't remember yellow. That means it's AFC,
That means
right?
it's
Rob?
in the AFC.
Obviously not the team, not the position. Height is lower, age is lower, and jersey number is lower. So we're staying in the AFC. We're going a younger guy. We're going a little bit shorter. Do we have any second thoughts here?
So it's not. Give me Nick Chubb.
Okay. Younger. What's Nick Chubb's number? Do you know?
24.
What? Yeah, 24.
A little taller, not the AFC North. So we're
it's
at
a
the East or
receiver?
South. No, because hard could be defensive players.
Okay.
And linemen.
Treylon Burks.
Division is
Okay.
that?
It is younger. Yeah. Wait. Yeah, younger than 27.
Yeah, that's
Taller.
23 is the age. So we have hit. Okay, so we
Doesn't
know
help.
it's AFC East, which is that Patriots division?
Yeah,
Right?
Pats, Bills, Jets, and Miami.
So a 23-year-old in at 6 foot or 6'1", not a wide receiver, running back, or tight end. How tall is Mac Jones? Now, is Mac Jones 24
tall
or
is
25
Tua?
by now?
Two is older than 23.
I think Mac Jones
Right?
would be a good.
Look at the number though, 16. Yeah, because we're lower than 16, so we're 1 through 15 here. Mac Jones, you thinking?
Yeah, I think that means it's a quarterback. So, it's not.
No,
a
it's not a quarterback. Okay.
Not a quarterback. So now we're probably, if it's in the single digits, isn't that
I would say
Are we talking-
cornerback.
cornerback? But yeah,
Jalen Waddle. That seems to work. I don't.
we don't have. It's not a quarterback, running back, tight end, wide receiver. It is the AFC East, but it's not New England.
Man, this is tough. I don't.
Mac
What's
Jones.
that Buffalo?
It is probably a
Cornerback.
cornerback.
Who's the guy that picked off Allen 3 times on the Jets? Jordan
Whitehead?
That's a good one.
Whitehead.
So it's a safety.
Safety in the NFC East, who's 20 or AFC East, who's 23.
Oh man, this is
We
tough.
it's what's the Buffalo's?
They're Micah Hyde, and they're older.
They're
than
older.
20. They're older than 23.
Who did Miami draft this year? Then they are a safety.
It
Did
could
they?
be, it could be Miami because we haven't had the team selected yet. So it's either the Bills or the Dolphins.
We're gonna need some research here, boys. We're gonna need some additional help.
I like this better when I thought you could just guess it the first time.
Javon Holland.
Javon Holland.
I spelled it wrong. Is it Dovon? What did you say?
J-E.
There we go.
Oh,
Hey,
Bingo.
look at that.
look at that.
We had a
That's
we had a little we had
I
to
did-
cheat a little
I
bit.
did have to look up a roster. So
Man, that's a fun game. I did not know there was a NFL version of Wordle.
yeah.
Yeah, the easy mode is typically a lot funner unless you have somebody that comes on your show and ruins it. But I mean, other than that, it's usually a great time.
That's my nickname, Corey Easterday, ruiner of shows. So there you go.
All right. So have you ever played the grid? Have you ever seen this one before?
I have
No.
now. I've seen this now.
You have seen this, Rob, right?
I've seen it. Yeah.
Okay. So when we're looking at the grid, and we're
Texans are
likely
gonna
going
be
to
tough.
need some help here, or else we just give up, or whatever you guys want to do. But when you look down, obviously these are all players that played on Houston in this exact column that I'm highlighting. When you go to each side, who played on Houston and Miami? Who played on Houston and Las Vegas? Who played on Houston and Detroit? Same concept here, obviously with the Saints. Same
Can
concept
you use
here.
the same person twice?
I don't know, and I was wondering that as well. But I know we should know Las Vegas Raiders, 1,000-yard rushing season.
Throw it in there.
Josh Jacobs. Boom, baby.
Okay.
Yep. I also think Darren McFadden would have worked there. So,
Corey, you want to go with one?
So just 1,000+ yard. Could it be Amon Ra or no? Wait,
it's
Is it gonna be
rushing
any
yards.
player? Oh, it's rushing.
Rushing
Barry
yards.
Sanders.
Rushing yards.
Okay,
Since
is any-
1999. Was he?
Oh, no, that's not Barry. It's not Barry. Oh, shoot.
Detroit. Or you could do.
Was Jay Ajayi's big season with Miami?
I don't know if he had over 1,000.
Oh, then I'm scared
That's
to
a
put that
tricky
one
one.
on.
Give me Saints, Miami, Ricky Williams.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's what. No.
Oh,
Saints in Miami.
My bad.
Is
Is this where you're wondering if?
Yeah, that's where I was wondering if you could do 2,000 yarders.
Wonder why it shows two different time frames there, but
How
all right,
about-
we're doing well.
How about Derek Carr? Or is it all rushers
Yeah.
for
that's
Saints
good.
and Raiders? Derek
Saints
Carr.
Raiders.
Duh.
That's
Duh,
good.
that one. Nice one, Corey. I feel like I should no. Texans, Lions. Miami, Texans.
Wait, for Miami, Ronnie Brown? Is that too obscure?
Ooh.
No, that one's really good. He did hit 1,000, right? Like it was his rookie year. I think he looked really good. Uh-oh. Did I?
Can you put Ricky there for that?
Well, I don't think we could change it.
Or is
now.
it locked?
It's locked.
Okay.
I ruined the game.
So Saints, Detroit.
I'm trying to think of 1,000-yard rusher on Detroit, and
That's
I'm
not
struggling.
Barry Sanders. Are we sure he's not past 99?
I don't think
He only played 10 years. Like
Yeah.
Man, I don't think
that would have
he- I
been
don't
his
think he
last
hit it.
season, I think.
I feel like he was in the 2000s, no?
Robbie's asking for support. Any guesses? Help us.
People help.
I feel like we should be better at this column right now, and we're just blanking completely here.
Yeah.
Oh, what?
Let's
Who's
think
the offensive tackle?
Fitzpatrick? Ryan Fitzpatrick for all of them?
Laramie Tunsil.
Yeah.
Nice.
Hey, all right.
Yeah. So
What's the guy that played for
Texans and
literally
Lions.
everyone? The Rosenfeld dude?
Yeah, Sage.
Sage Rosenfeld?
He was on the. I think he was Detroit and Texans. Okay. Let's try it again. Okay. Don't know what's going on, but we're gonna have to think of somebody else, I think, or I try last name. It's just. Oh, Ronnie Brown must have been correct. I just used all our guesses.
Oh, you idiot.
Sorry, guys. I don't know what happened there. I don't get the white versus green.
It wouldn't have been DeAndre Swift on the Lions, would it? Is that too galaxy brained?
I don't think he passed 1,000.
Oh, that's a good one.
Ooh, that is a good one. Saints to Lions.
Yeah.
Is C.J. Gardner? forgot he was on. Think of him on. Wasn't he on Eagles last year?
Mm-hmm.
I messed this up because I used all our guesses. I guess I don't really understand the colors.
No, does that mean that
I
we
want
got
to
it
see
right?
Ronnie Brown.
3 green in a row.
We missed out on these two because I used our guesses. I want to say that the Ronnie Brown being like a platinum means it was better than 58% obviously knows Josh Jacobs, but only 9% knew Ronnie
Under
Brown.
10% maybe.
So I used all of our guesses on that one and killed us.
Wait, does that mean Ronnie Brown was a good guess or a terrible guess?
It was a great guess. Better than good.
So you didn't ruin the show. Mario's the one that actually ruined the show. See,
right,
we're good.
I made the show better.
I ruined the
Dolphins knowledge of Waddle and Brown.
I ruined the Rob and Corey show.
Yeah, you did.
Well, that's all the time we have on the Rob and Corey show.
We're gonna let Mario leave, and we'll keep going.
We'll bring back the show everyone loves and kick Mario out.
Let me minimize this and take control back over the Dad Bod Squad since you guys are heathens.
Mutiny.
I'm gonna remove that, Rob. We're gonna do some start sit, and of course, if you have questions, bring them in. We already had one. Do I start Madison, Moss, or Gus Edwards? RB Slim in my league. I don't start Gus.
I still go
Moss,
Madison, even though I hate it.
Madison too.
Even though I hate it, I'm going Madison.
Yeah, I think I expressed actually ironically on our Viking show my doubts about Madison, but until he proves otherwise, he's at least a volume play.
I was just going to bring that up, Corey. Looks like you hit it on the head, Corey, with Madison not being what we all think.
It was 1 week.
You're right.
He had 11 carries.
Okay, we'll see how this whole thing turns out.
Well, tonight's not going to be any better.
JT, but.
To quote the late great Dennis Green, he is who he thought he was. So.
I just sent that to somebody. They'll probably comment here right now soon because I sent it to them about a specific fantasy football team. So we're going to do start sit, and the way we have it designed, and last week we kind of pulled some questions in. This week we're going to kind of highlight players that are must start or must sits in our eyes. With that being said, Robbie, how about I start with you? Give us your QB start and your QB sit, and we'll go positional. So we'll rotate QBs, and then we'll go each position.
Yes, sounds good. So my start so I went with all kind of streaming options as opposed to kind of those main guys, obviously. My streamer that I put down was Daniel Jones. I know it sounds a little crazy after last week and what we saw. But I think his legs, especially in this game with not going up against such an insane front seven that the Dallas Cowboys have, I think his legs are going to keep him steady. He'll have a decent game just rushing alone. And then the secondary suspect. So I think obviously keep an eye on Waller, but even if Waller's not there, I still have high hopes for Daniel Jones this week going up against the Arizona Cardinals, who gave up over 200 yards to Sam Howell. So in his first ever start in the NFL. So he's somebody I'm looking at for this week. And then who I am sitting is going to be Matthew Stafford. Obviously, it's Stafford is the low-hanging fruit of the bunch going up against the 49ers. If I had to pick another one, I'm going to go with Kenny Pickett. Going against the Browns defense, which I've been kind of touting all offseason, that I think they're going to be a lot better than people think. The secondary played out of their minds. The front seven looked great. I think getting a competent coach in there to coach this team up, I think we're going to see a big difference from last season.
Every bit of the Steelers makes me nervous this week too. We saw the best defense that I have seen in. I mean, I'm trying to look. It's week one. It's 1 week, but literally was one of the best looking defenses I've seen us ever roll out. I get it. It was rainy. But we saw Deshaun Watson doing it on the other side. We saw him doing not amazing, but not Joe Burrow bad, not T. Higgins bad. Like those, it just was, they were a menace to Cincinnati, and they kind of always are. But it just makes you wonder, like, oh my gosh, Joe Woods has crushed this defense for 3 years, and finally we have a defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Mario, are you a Steelers fan?
No.
Oh,
No.
I got confused.
I do love George Pickens. That's probably
Yeah,
what
he's a
I
Pickens
I
fan.
started to get. Yeah, I was like, I have Pickens in a lot of leagues, and I'm real nervous about this week playing him.
Okay, I was
would
panicked for a second. I was like, I can't be on a show with the Steelers fan as a. I
No,
mean,
I'm
I
on
was,
your show, Corey.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
on your
yeah.
show.
Yeah, I can't have a
You have-
Steelers
We
fan on
can't
my
have
show.
you. You got to go.
Yeah.
See you later.
Even though I live in Charlotte now, I lived in Ohio for almost 30 years. So. Oh, he left. All right, great.
All right.
We're all supporting the Browns. All right.
Yes. Oh yeah. Corey, why don't you hit us with your QB start sit here?
For sure. So this start might sound a little counterintuitive because it's such a popular name, but Lamar Jackson. And the reason I picked Lamar Jackson is because based off his performance last week and the fact that he is a player that we consistently have high expectations for from a fantasy standpoint, who over the last couple years just seems to be more of a roller coaster in terms of which weeks he's actually going to produce to the level that you expect him to. I know scoring is different in every league, but last week in one of my million leagues, he scored me 7 points, and Jordan Love scored like 29 points on my bench. So I think process over results, I'm not going to start Jordan Love over Lamar Jackson this week just because of that kind of thing. Lamar Jackson, most likely for most people, is the best quarterback option they have. But I felt it was important to reinforce that because of the roller coaster ride that has been Lamar, and having invested in him so heavily personally, it's something that I could easily see popping up that, depending on what your options are, like one league I have Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson, like that. It depends on what your options are as far as like who you have accessible and available. I'm just reinforcing the confidence in Lamar overall this week. I think he's going to bounce back. That game has the third highest over-under on the slate. It's that divisional matchup with the Bengals. There's a lot to like there that we saw last week in the offense. I know that no JK is reason for panic, but I think as has been highlighted many times this offseason, what that offense is looking to do, especially you'd argue now even more so in that passing game with what we saw to Zay Flowers and those guys. I think Lamar will have a lot of opportunities to have a bounce back fantasy performance this week. So I'm reinforcing the confidence.
Not to mention maybe Mark Andrews returning to the offense too, which is
exactly
the Aaron Jones of this offense. I mean, he's the explosive tight end. He's the Travis Kelce of this offense, right?
Travis
Like
Kelce,
he's all of those things.
Yeah.
The leadership, the explosion that you would need on that offense. So yeah, I love it.
Yeah, and I think I even bragged about it on Twitter. I started Isaiah Likely in like 6 leagues. I mean, I love Isaiah Likely. I have so much Isaiah Likely. I was over the moon last week, and then, he comes out with a, 1 catch for 4 yards. So I just think the Ravens in general are kind of prepared for more of a bounce back week against the Bengals. So as far as a sit, I kind of referenced him in my earlier league, but I think Jordan Love, like obviously it depends on your league type. If you're in obvious exception, if you're a super flex league, deeper leagues, whatever, I'm still going to roll Love out with some measure of confidence, but I'm zagging a little bit on Love just because they're on the road. It's got the 11th highest over under. So maybe depending on what's going on with Aaron Jones, maybe they're leaning on some other aspects here, or, now that we've kind of seen breakout performance from him against the Bears, who, let's be honest, have kind of a dismal defense. And, the Packers have owned the Bears for who knows how long. I saw the popular joke. Aaron Rodgers transferred ownership of the Bears to Jordan Love when he left. So Jordan Love for me is like, I'm zagging a little bit on him because I like the Bears. I have nothing against the Bears. Jordan Love, I just, I want to see it a little bit more before I go all in. So if you have a better option than Jordan Love, I would still lean that way instead of, maybe the overreaction of week 1, like getting him as a surefire starter. But I think I love what I've seen out of him. I'm so happy I drafted him in a bunch of leagues this offseason, and I think he's going to have a great year. But this week I'm a little more hesitant.
I see it, and Atlanta controls the ball and controls the offense quite a bit more and controls that clock. So I can understand if they're unable to get something going on offense because Atlanta loves to just chew up time.
I to be clear, I think they'll beat the Falcons, but it's purely a fantasy from a fantasy standpoint, you know.
Yeah. 12-team PPR home league. I have ETN, Jay Cook, Hall, I'm assuming Brees Hall. Maybe that's the only one. Roshan, Kyron Williams, and Devon Achane as my RB corps. I know you're jealous. I am. Do I drop a chain and pick up someone like Allen Robinson or Shaheed? How bad are your wide receivers is the follow-up question there. Because I think A-Chain might see quite a bit of, I mean, Mostert's dealing with a knee injury. I think that backfield is for the taking right now.
Who are you more likely to give up, Kyrene or a chain?
Probably a chain.
Yeah, I'd imagine a chain based on how hot Kyron was this past week.
Yeah,
but I'm with you guys. I don't feel like the upside of Robinson. I know Shaheed is, you know,
Shaheed I would consider. I wouldn't do Allen Robinson.
I just think Shaheed's he's going to be boom bust all year, and you're never going to trust it.
I would consider Shaheed more than Robinson in that order for sure, but I don't know that I would bail on a chain just yet, but it depends on league context.
No, with these wide receivers, I don't think I'm doing it. I don't think I would do it.
I would hold pat. At that point, I would start talking about trades. I would try to, if you have that much, you know, if you have that many running backs, it's a running back needy league right now. If you have all those starters and you can afford to trade one of them and kind of get a higher,
two for one
receiver,
or running back.
That's something I would consider as opposed to dropping one of them for a wide receiver off the waivers, just because you can probably get some good value in a trade with some of those running backs.
I agree. I feel like if you drop a chain for either of those receivers, you're point chasing a little bit, kind of chasing last week's results, as opposed to planning for the future. Where I agree, I think a chain will have some good days ahead.
Oh, he's right. Why not utilize your RB when DBs will be 20 and 25 yards back every play?
I'm excited to see how they use him when you know, when he's healthy and going. Like that offense could be wild with some speed in the backfield.
I'm gonna hit my start sit QBs, and I'll be short and sweet here. Jared Goff versus Seattle. Seattle's defense did not come out the way I thought they were in week 1. Matthew Stafford held all the power in that game. He was honestly diming them up. It was his younger receivers that would have some troubles. So I'm going, if you're on the fringe about Jared Goff, I'm starting him. And somebody that would fall in my sit category is Dak Prescott. He goes against the Jets defense that just made Josh Allen. I get it. Josh Allen, say what you want right now about him. And since the end of last year, they still made him look silly. Dak Prescott is prone to these sort of mistakes. It makes me real worried. This Jets defense knows they have to step it up quite a bit. He freaks me out this week. He is home, though, so that helps that they're in Dallas. RB start sits. Robbie, kick us off.
I'm going to go with someone that I was talking about last week, and he had an okay game, but did not get the volume that we wanted to see. It's Jahmyr Gibbs. I think he looked great. He looked amazing, just didn't get the usage that we wanted to see. A lot of talk this week in Detroit that they are going to get him the ball more. And Mara, you hit on it. Seattle's defense didn't look that great. They gave up 52 yards, 2 touchdowns to Kyren Williams on limited snaps because they were up so much that they just threw in Cam Akers. And at that point, it was just eat the clock up as much as you can. Let's get out of here. Let's get the win and get out of here. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be involved in this game. He might not get 30 touches, but I think he's going to get a decent amount. And with his big play upside and how this defense looked, I'm looking for a pretty decent game. I actually think Monty and Gibbs will both have pretty good games. But I think with Gibbs is his athletic profile and everything that they can do with him in this offense with how bad the defense looked last week, I think he's in store for a pretty big day.
Can I talk about something that happened as a conversation in text with one of my buddies, Willie, commenting, this guy right here, aka Silas. We were talking. And it dawned on me. I get it. We've heard the comparisons about DeMont and Gibbs being kind of Mark Ingram, Alvin Kamara, right? Mm-hmm. Eventually, that's what we're hoping for. And as a Gibbs owner, that's what you'd be hoping for. Granted, this conversation is definitely much more around dynasty. But my God, is this offense turning into the New Orleans Saints? And then it dawns on me again, like, that's where Campbell came from. I mean, he was a tight ends coach under Sean Payton for New Orleans.
Amon,
comes over.
Did I not say Amon was a baby King? Michael Thomas last season?
Yeah, like there's a lot of similarities going on there. Now, Jared Goff is quite a different quarterback than Drew Brees, but as far as like protecting the ball, they're very similar. Yeah. I don't know. I thought it was weird.
I like it. And then my sit for the week is going to be Dalvin Cook. If I can avoid playing anyone against this Cowboys defense, I'm going to do it. But I especially think Dalvin this week. I think if you have Brees and Dalvin, I would play Brees obviously over him, just because I think there will be some lanes. The defense was okay against the run. I think they gave up 50 yards to Saquon last week. But I think Brees' just big playability he'll crack one for a decent amount of yards. Like, he'll be okay. Dalvin, I don't have that hope for. I don't think he has that
great.
I don't think he's got that burst like he did in Minnesota previous seasons. They're going to try to run him, but I don't see it going well this week, where I think Brees will get some run, and he'll get some plays where he's going to be an okay option. But again, if I can sit both of them, I'm going to against this defense.
Never. I would never sit him as of now. Are you sitting Garrett Wilson against the Dallas defense?
I don't know how you could.
I don't think
even if Vinny Testaverde was his quarterback, I would still start. Like Vinny Testaverde today, I would still start.
Yeah, at age 60 or at 62.
There's reports that they're calling Ben Roethlisberger. Like, what are we doing? What's going on?
I think this is all fake news about the quarterback situation with the vets. I think they're rallying around Zach Wilson for the time being. I absolutely think it's for the time being. With Garrett Wilson, though, Dallas defense, and I'm going to go back to last year. Obviously, we didn't see it this last week. Dallas defense was known for allowing big plays while also getting turnovers. So it's not like you're like Diggs is a cornerback that will give some, and a wide receiver still have the opportunity to produce there. Now, this defense may have stepped it up even further, but most of it looked a lot like the defense from last year, where they allow these sort of big plays. But man, if they pressure Wilson the way that they pressured Daniel Jones, it's in trouble.
It's going to be a long day.
Yeah, he's going to be seeing ghosts after this game, dude. And then they will be calling Big Ben.
Yeah. It's talk about a tough go to start, right? You got Buffalo, then you got Dallas defense. You got thrown into the Buffalo game, not ready for it. And now you got to go up against this Dallas defense that just absolutely destroyed the New York Giants. So I don't know.
Jets put all their eggs in Aaron. Yes, they are about to face a shark, a real hungry shark at that. Corey, RB start sit.
Yeah, so I'm really I have this RB that I want to start in my home dynasty league, and I'm really disappointed in myself that it's taken me until now to start him consistently with confidence. Tyler Algier, so as my RB start, because obviously we saw an unexpectedly great performance from him last week, splitting the workload with Bijan. Mike Clay from ESPN has a really great playbook article that he does every week on ESPN Plus that kind of breaks down the slate and a lot of good things to know and stats and all that. So I wanted to quote from this. In Mike Clay's playbook on ESPN, he said, Algier has now produced 18 plus touches and 94 plus yards. I imagine that's total scrimmage yards in 5 consecutive games, dating back to last season.
Man.
So even with Bijan in town, and especially you look at his production last season, that's why some folks were questioning why draft Bijan in the first place when Algier is producing like he was. But it was very encouraging as somebody that rosters Algier in multiple leagues to see the usage he got last week. I know that percentages are going to shift and they're going to give some more workload to Bijan as time goes on, but I think that they love the 1-2 punch they have. Clearly, Arthur Smith does not give a crap about anyone's fantasy team, and or Drake London or
some
Kyle
Robbie.
Pitts. He just wants to
Get
run
some
it a
Robbie.
few times a game. So imagine how I felt giving one of my friends crap in one of my leagues because he dropped Drake London and pick up Raheem Mostert in week 1. Now he looks like the genius. So what are we doing out here? I don't know.
No, I love that. It's funny because I went this whole offseason talking about they're gonna run, and I don't know why it didn't occur to me that they couldn't run Bijan 50 times. I don't know if that was exactly in my head, but I should have had some more Tyler Algier love, and I was wrong. I didn't necessarily hate him, but I didn't expect what I saw week 1 at all.
Same, yeah.
So
my sit is Kyron Williams, who was somebody I absolutely targeted on the waiver wire, very popular pickup. If I can flex a little bit, I carried him all last season in my home dynasty league, and then I dropped him because I got impatient. So now I have virtually no Kyron Williams in that league. So I was subject to the waiver wire like everyone else. I even in that league. I stared at Puka Nacua on Sunday before the game started, and I was like, I have an extra spot right now with Mark Andrews being injured. I should pick up Puka, but instead I picked up Sam Howell in a 1 QB league, already having heard.
Oh no!
So don't. All that to say, what do I know? But anyway, Kyron Williams. It's simple. I'll keep it short and sweet. San Francisco defense, touchdown regression. If you have to start one of the 2 Rams backs, he's still the one I would feel more comfortable with over Akers. If you have to start one against San Francisco, I may be forced to do so in one league, but I just think some obvious regressions coming against San Francisco.
I think it's obviously like I think McVay is gonna definitely set up a nice game plan against San Francisco, but it's a nightmare to start running backs against that line. That line looked great. Everyone's kind of out on Najee right now, understandably, because it's not just this week; it's been his career. But I give him grace for the season because that defensive line is no joke, dude. Bosa is the real deal.
Got paid like it.
He got paid like it. I did my RB start for this week is, let's see if this ad's right. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Look how beautiful that is. I understand it didn't add right. Give me a second.
This better be worth it.
I think it's worth it. It's got to be worth it. I'm killing our time here, dude. It's got to be worth it.
So, Rob, what do you want to do next week on our show?
I don't know, man. we have
Hey, it's Rob and Damian Pierce. I'm going to give it the spoiler now, have Kyle Pitts, who you would never think that, right? You would never think it from me. And most people who have Kyle Pitts probably have no choice. But I think Kyle Pitts is a start against Green Bay. But more importantly, we're talking about RBs. And I think Dame Train going against the Indianapolis Colts is a must start for this week. Here, Tim, I'll blow it up for you. There you go. Indianapolis Colts just gave up, I want to say it was 20 fantasy points to Travis Etienne. Their defensive line isn't there. This should be a relatively higher scoring game based on how both offenses looked in week 1. I know Houston's has some concern, but I think they lean more on Dame Train for week 1.
You know, I love it.
Can I petition to make that the new show logo?
It should.
Yes.
We
have to add you in there, Corey. Yeah, we got to add Corey in there too. It's the Rob and Corey show.
No, not.
No,
you can go the other way. You'll go in front of me, laying the other way.
My RB sit, and people are gonna hate this, and I have been in 2 separate arguments today. Josh Kelly. Josh Kelly is an absolute sit for me. I know everybody got him off their waivers and are saying, I'm plugging him in. But they go against the Tennessee rush defense that dating 8 games back to last year or 7 games back to last year. I have a cool little stat for you guys here. Jamal Williams last week, 7.2. And then this is going to be an order from most recent to oldest. ETN got 5.4 on them, 8.2, 4.8 those were 2 no-name RBs. It was like Royce Freeman and somebody else. Austin Eckler only scored 15 fantasy points against them. ETN again for a 3.2 ball. Miles Sanders 11.8. This defense is no joke to running backs. And I don't trust Kelly. I know you just got him off your waivers for probably 20% more. Everybody's hyping him up. Austin Eckler's on Matt Harmon's show saying this is the guy that you want to pick up, which is the biggest concern for me because I don't believe Kelly is anything more than what Cody calls a plotter. Khalil Herbert is another one that I had against Tampa Bay's defense. I think their defensive line is actually way better than I expected it to be. Vita Vea is the truth, and Khalil Herbert, he's going to have to do it in pass game if he wants to get something done this week.
Yeah.
Whew, I'm winded.
Long-winded.
What's up, Albert? Wide receiver starts. It's Robbie. Who we starting? Who we sitting? Wide receiver.
Wide receiver. Let's go with little Jahan Dotson this week, going up against Denver.
I think that's three of us. I think three of us are in on Jahan Dotson this week.
I love it. They just gave up a monster game to Jacoby, 9 receptions, 81 yards, 2 tutties. Surtain is going to shadow Terry more than I would assume, more than likely. So with that, Jahan's going to be going up against that number 2 cornerback who is suspect. Again, just gave up that monster game to Jacoby. I think they're going to be throwing the ball around. The rush defense is really good still. So I'm looking for a pretty good day from Jahan. Hopefully something like Jacoby from last week. And
this is AJD for me.
Go ahead. Would you start Herbert or Aaron Jones?
As long
or AJ Dillon. I'm sorry.
AJ Dillon is as long as Aaron Jones is out.
Yeah, I'm going Dillon.
Corey,
why do you ask Mario and not me? What's up with that, Tiff?
I would agree with that. If for no other reason,
he knows I'm more in tune to the Green Bay.
It'll be Roshan season sooner than later. So
yeah, that's right. It will. Roshan.
It's going to be. And then my sit for the week is Jahan's running mate, Terry McLaurin. Same reasons as why I am so high on Jahan. It's why I'm off of Terry this week. He's going up against Patrick Surtain. We know that he is a premier cornerback in this league. He held Devontae Adams 6 receptions to 60 yards, right around there. And Terry's no Devontae. So I'm expecting a worse game than that, and it's not going to be too pretty. So start Jahan, sit Terry, and that's your Commanders wide receiver core this week.
Corey, wide receiver start sit.
Yeah, I for my wide receiver, I had one I'll focus on, but I had kind of 2 I was looking at, a couple of the rookies. But real quick, if you still have time, I think there's 20 minutes or so before tonight's game. But Jordan Addison, I think is a good play. I benched him last week. I'll never make that mistake again. I know it was a bit of a fluke in the sense that he didn't have a huge target share last week, that touchdown, but I think they're going to want to just keep upping his profile in this offense, and especially in games like the one tonight, that's the second highest over-under on the slate. I want to get him in game environments like that just for that chance of what we saw last week. But the one I mainly wanted to go with was Zay Flowers, kind of going off my Lamar thing. Oof. I want to see what Zay and Lamar are going to do together again as a tandem. I think he's already not just from his eyes. He did.
He opened eyes last week.
It's not just a results based. He confirmed all the good things we love about him in the offseason. And it really, just the feel of it, the way it looked, watching that game, he looked like the best receiver the Ravens have had in that offense in a long time, easily. And
it's not like that Houston secondary. I know it's been notoriously bad, but it's not like there's not bums on that secondary. They have some players.
Yeah, and he already had in a game that they were leading most of the time. He had 10 week 1 targets. Like he's already. Granted Andrews wasn't in, but I think even with Andrews, he's going to be a primary part of that passing game. High end wide receiver 3, low end wide receiver 2. He's already a great flex option. He's my guy. And then the sit very quickly, Christian Kirk. I do love the Jags a lot this week, as we'll talk about in the DFS. I love them a lot, but you're going to have to do better than 3 targets and 9 receiving yards before I can trust you in my lineup, especially when I would feel more comfortable trusting somebody like Zay Jones in that offense. So
yeah.
Robbie talked about that a ton last night, didn't you?
I did.
I had to go, and I thought you were crazy, but then I had to go to the snap count, and it was like less than 40% or something for Christian Kirk.
60% snaps to Zay,
which is low for a wide receiver.
to Zay's like 90%.
that's
Zay
crazy.
outsnapped him over 20 snaps for week 1. It's clear that Zay's the number 2 there. Christian Kirk is that slot receiver. And until that changes, I'm with you, Corey. Like I can't play Kirk, and it sucks because I was high on him. I was high on him coming in this year. I think I had him around 26 or something like that. And it's looking like I'm going to lose that bet.
Yeah, I'm not dropping him just yet, but I'm not starting him either right now.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I'll get into my wide receiver start sit, but I just want to do a final score prediction because we're getting close to game time. I'm going to say it's going to be a high scoring game, real high. 35-24 Eagles. I think
28-21.
I'm going to go, what was the final score of the Super Bowl? I'm going to go 38-35 Eagles.
Wow. Ooh, we all are taking pretty high games. Watching, we're all going to get burned by stupid Thursday night football.
I know it's going to be like 10-6 or something.
Always is, yeah.
Always is. My wide receiver start is, this one's not very fair because most people who have him are going to start him. T. Higgins, boys. Don't worry about last week. The Browns defense was nasty. He got 8 targets. He's going against Baltimore's secondary, who I don't think is going to be great this season. They lost a guy early on. I can't even remember what happened, but they lost their, I'm going to say it was Marcus Peters, or what's the other one?
Marlon Humphrey.
Other cornerback. Marlon Humphrey. I think it was Humphrey. Something happened to Humphrey.
They've lost a couple people this week. There's a lot of people on the injury report for Baltimore.
Nico Collins balled out against him. He fits the exact same T. Higgins mold. They're very similar in size, very similar how they run routes. They're very, plug your T. Higgins in and don't even look about it. And then my wide receiver sit was also T. Mac. So we're on the same page here. We're going to wrap this up fast with tight end start sit, rapid fire, quick descriptions on why, and then we'll get to our DFS. So you start us off, Robbie.
Tight end. Okay, real quick, Mario, before we get rolling with this.
Do you believe that?
Do you believe now?
You
didn't hear that? Here, let's up it. Where
do you get these clubs? Do I believe what?
Luke Musgrave, baby. He is here. He's here to stay. I'm playing him this week. I'm going to keep pounding this drum all season until he proves me otherwise. I mean, he had a great first game coming in. He was a stumble and an overthrow away from being tight end 1 overall this week. He looked great. His average depth of target was over 18 yards per pass. I'm in, dude. They're going to use him deep down the field. He's a playmaking tight end that I think is going to be utilized. No Aaron Jones. They're going to have to throw the ball around a little bit more just because A.J. Dillon didn't look good. So what are they going to do if they won't be able to run the ball? I'm in. Luke Musgraves is that guy. He's coming. He's staying. Tight end 1 this week. Besides
Corey,
Kelsey and Mark Andrews.
tight end 1. You could have just said there. Corey, if you missed it, at one point in one of these episodes, Robbie declared Luke Musgrave, not this season, as the next Travis Kelce. So, yeah.
Oh, that's
it was a bold declaration.
Now, while you can,
yeah, very bold declaration. I'll leave it at that. Yeah. Very bold.
Tight end sit.
And then my sit. Sorry, I was too amped up for my Luke Musgrave love. We were going with Pity City. I cannot play Pitts until he out targets Algier once in a blue moon. So until these tight ends and receivers can get more targets than the running back position, I am completely out on all the pass catching options there, not named Bijan Robinson.
I have him as a start, and it was partly to make that picture work, but also partly because he posted comeback player of the year. I assume he was referring to himself. I assumed he had some sort of conversation. Usually those kind of tweets, maybe like you see the action take place the first week that it comes out, and then you see it kind of fall off a cliff again. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking into it too much. Sorry, Corey, I don't mean to chop you off, but now that I'm here, I'm just going to lead into it. Chig, I think, is a great play if D-Hop is out versus the Chargers. My sits, Higbee versus San Fran. We talked about it all. We've named literally almost every San Fran player or guy going against San Fran. And Jake Ferguson, who I love, versus the Jets. If you were considering it, I would say he's a sit. And tight end start sit to you, Corey.
Cole Kmet, there's my Bears love. Tight end start, 7 targets.
There it is.
97% snap share, almost 10 fantasy points, I believe. I love some Cole Kmet this season. I think he was one of my guys when I on the Corey and Rob show last time we talked. So I love him. My sit is actually Chigoziem Okonkwo. Because
No, man, I got both your guys' sits.
I love him in theory. I'm not, I may rock with him again at some point this season, but you're gonna have to do better than 2 targets and completely 0 points, regardless of matchup. I need to see it first before I can start him with confidence.
You mean he needs a better quarterback than Ryan Tannehill? I think
wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, I think that's the real.
Robbie is so ready for the Will Levis.
Just get Zach Wilson in there, trade.
Yeah,
you
might work out.
Yeah, I'm preaching. I think Malik Willis will be starting sooner than later.
Man.
I think it's coming.
This I know this wasn't the comment towards that what you just said, but he is jumping up in joy hearing it if it came true. Let's get into some of our DFS lineups. We'll read through these. I think pretty quick hit. You can kind of run in your thought process, but obviously it's me to start. What? I didn't think I was the first one. All right, cool. So and I saw yours, Corey, and it's kind of messed with me because I was like, maybe he's got the right game here. Obviously, one of the things that I like to do in my DFS lineups is pick a game that I think is going to be massive, which is weird because Tennessee usually isn't involved in that game. But I think for one side, it's going to be pretty large. And here, I'm going with the Chargers-Tennessee game. Starting Justin Herbert, we're running it back. I think he throws a ton here, especially if there's no Eckler. I think he goes a lot more downfield. Then, again, my sit is Josh Kelly. I don't think he targets Kelly near as much as who would if it was Eckler. We're going to stack that up with a Keenan Allen going for 7,100. And then we're also going to bring that back with Derrick Henry going for 7,400. Now, if D-Hop is out, I can see the Tennessee turning their game plan. Well, we're running Derrick Henry 30 times then against this defense. And I could absolutely see them doing that even if they went down 2 scores early on. They would be like, we're sticking with Derrick Henry for now. We're going to throw a couple times, but we're still going to run the damn ball. I also went with Barkley against Arizona. I'm expecting a huge week for him to help Danny Dimes get back on track and feel normal in the pocket again. We mentioned it earlier on the show, Jahan Dotson, 4,900 against Denver. We're all in on him this week, which obviously means a big fat goose egg is coming up if all 3 of us are agreeing there.
Yeah.
Kadarius Toney is my wide receiver 3, and I'm sure there's eyeballs going, what the hell are you doing? I'm asking myself the same thing. But he's going against Jacksonville, who just allowed Michael Pittman, was it 8 for 94, 97? Allowed him to destroy. He had a great game. I think Kadarius Toney has a lot to prove after how he let social media get to him. I think he's going to. I think Kadarius Toney is going to ball out this week so he can continue his talking shit on social media. Nico Collins at the flex, 4,800. I put Houston, and I didn't mean to. I knew I was going to do that. They are playing Indianapolis. No. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
Yes, they are. They're playing Indianapolis. And then tight end Luke Musgrave for 3,200. I just did this for Rob, Do you believe he's gonna ball out? I traded for Luke Musgrave in one of our leagues. Robbie has not yet offered me anything for him, and it's been a shock. Defense going the Jets, Jets, 2,700 against Dallas. It's going to be a low-scoring game. It's the only reason I'm doing it. I'm not necessarily counting on Dallas being terrible.
I like it, especially Luke Musgrave.
I know you guys probably hate the Toney pick, but it's just that one's like a full roll of the dice. I think you picked the right game.
Corey, hit us with it.
Time will tell, my friend. So real quick, I have to shout out our guy, Rob Norton. He's been like my DFS baby Yoda or regular Yoda.
He's taught me a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One Zoom call with him last season, and I totally transformed the way I played. So this is obviously a very correlation-heavy lineup. There's a lot of game environment, game theory going on here, a lot of value that I believe is out there. We have the stack. We have a secondary stack, all that stuff. One caveat, this lineup, I'm a big tweaker. Maybe that's to my benefit, maybe to my detriment. I don't know. So this
happens to me too.
liable to change a few times. So basically, you can tell I love the Kansas City Jacksonville game. It's got the highest over/under on the slate. I think that many people will go chalk with Jacksonville. I think that is a bit of a chalk play, but I also think I could argue that it could be slightly contrarian because of how high we were on them in week 1 and how that kind of paid off for some people. So people may get in their heads about it and like steer away from Jacksonville a little bit, but I'm going to keep pounding the table for Jacksonville this week. Quarterback wise, just have to shout out a couple of the other guys I was looking at. Anthony Richardson at 6,300 on DraftKings against Houston, I think is a good value play. Brock Purdy against the Rams at 5,700. He almost 3x his value, his price point last week. So I think he could be a good play, but love that Jacksonville stack. I think we saw that with Ridley and Zay Jones. There's room for both those guys to perform and deliver on that value. Obviously, Kelsey with the bring back. 7,600 is probably the lowest you're going to see him on DraftKings all season, coming back from that injury. So I love that. I love the Tennessee Chargers game as well, but I'm zagging a little bit in terms of the secondary stack with Tajay Spears. We want to get ahead of the breakout weeks. That's how you win at DraftKings, right? Not chasing points, but trying to predict ahead. 4 targets last week. I think he's going to get a lot of good work and stuff coming down the pike. So him with that.
Back at practice today too.
Yep. Cheap Titans defense, but as we've talked about in this episode, a very effective Titans defense. And the running backs, love that value for Ken Walker. He's an RB1, also very low price point. And I love everything I saw out of James Cook last week with that workload, the double-digit touches. And I just overall, this was my entire salary, the $50K. I have no dollars left. I just love the correlation in this lineup. And our boy Jahan Dotson, who we all love this week. So there you go.
Love it.
I think the one question I have specifically on this lineup, I watched Ken Walker last week. I thought he looked great and got game scripted out second half. I already think my ranking on him was way too low, although I don't know if he's going to get much pass work in general for the season. That's season long. My concern with Ken Walker for this week is I think Detroit's rush defense is pretty solid. Like, they made Pacheco clueless out there, and not saying that's what makes it difficult to gauge. Like, is Pacheco just a very middle of the road kind of running back when Ken Walker is much higher, better than Pacheco? So that's what's making it tough for me right now.
Oh, and that made it tough for me, but that's also why I like him, because I think he could potentially be a very good contrarian play, especially in larger tournaments where he has that RB1 upside, but people may shy away from him for that exact reason. And the last thing I wanted to mention real quick on the running backs, and I got this from listening to a lot of Al Zeidenfeld and his work with DFS, but the running back at home, who we know is going to get a good workload. So you got the Tajay Spears, the James Cook, both playing at home. Tajay, that's a predictive move, but that's always a recipe for success. So I'm going to take the risk on Ken Walker because I think a lot of people might shy away.
Like it.
I like it. I like it a lot.
It's a great counterpoint.
Yeah. So I have 2 lineups. I'm only doing one, obviously, but my first one that I did not put on here, I have the Trevor, Zay, Calvin stack with Kelsey. So I'm right in line with you. With
sure. It's just not the one we're gonna see. Yeah, it was exact same. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, that's
dude, the Robbie Corey show. Yeah.
We're coming back after the game. Mario can hang out somewhere else.
You know what, Corey? I already have to deal with the Rob and the Rob. They always team up on me. Today was the first time where Rob was like, "Yeah, I think I agree with you on Kelly," where Norton vehemently disagrees, and he is starting him if he has him. So. I already have to deal with that with them. Now I got a secondary, the Rob and Corey. It's just gonna be the Rob, Corey, Rob squared and Corey. There we go. That's the show name.
Might as well. Sorry, Mario, you're up. All right, let's go with Rob's DFS lineup. Actually, it's for week 2, not week 1. Sorry, people, but we are going with Jared.
That's the first we noticed.
Yeah, first we noticed. Jared Goff. We've talked about it. I think that's gonna be somewhat of a high scoring game. I stacked him with Jahmyr Gibbs and Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think I've talked about Gibbs before. I think he's going to be involved in the pass game, which is going to help out Jared Goff. And then same concept with you, Corey. I like James Cook a lot this week.
Thank you, Tiff. That's why you asked me the questions.
Yeah.
Screw Rob.
I like James Cook a lot this week.
Are you FanDuel on this, by the way, or is this
This is
DraftKings?
FanDuel. This is
Okay.
FanDuel. Yes.
So his are a little bit higher than what most normal people see on DraftKings.
Yeah. Yeah. And then to counteract my Detroit lineup, I put in DK Metcalf. Obviously, I had to go with my man Luke Musgraves. He is my must start tight end this week. And then another game.
Musgrave must start.
Musgrave must
That's
start,
right.
baby. Another game that I think is going to actually, I have Calvin Ridley as my number one wide receiver here. We talked about it. I think he's going to go off Jacksonville. I'm with you, Corey. I think that's going to be a really high scoring game. So that's why I have him in there. And then Mike Williams going up against Tennessee's secondary. I think we've seen it last year. We saw it week 1. The secondary can't hold up. I'm excited for what Mike Williams can do. He's one of those big boom players. And if you can get him when he has those games, you can win a lot of money.
I think
so.
It might be a great
throwing
call
him out there this week. And then I'm going with the Dallas Cowboys defense against the Jets. We talked about it. I don't think, besides Breece Hall, I'm not Breece Hall and obviously Garrett Wilson. But if Zach Wilson can't get him the ball with this defense, I don't see too much going on for that offense. So that is Rob's DFS lineup for week 2.
Wow. Really dropped your own name there. So you know what makes me nervous about the Cowboys? So they had to be the most expensive on FanDuel.
No, they weren't.
They weren't.
They were like middle of the pack.
I wonder if they were the highest on DraftKings. Maybe it was close. What scares me is I have this weird feeling every time with defenses, like, oh, they just scored a ton. There's no way that they could do that again. You know, they can't put up 40 points again.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes what you're obviously defense that's so hard to hit 40, but like sometimes you're like, man, I hope I hit the defense that gets 25.
Yeah.
It feels like it's impossible.
The other part of that too, Mario, which is why I thought of pivoting off of the Cowboys, is a lot of time, the casual fan saw that last week, right? And they're going to throw the Dallas defense in there, knowing that Aaron Rodgers is hurt. Like, this is common knowledge, even for, someone that doesn't follow it as much as we do. So
you're casual,
it could be to my detriment. It might be a team that I take out of there and replace with a different defense, just so I get I have a defense that's not so stacked. But, if they're the number one defense again, like, who cares if everybody has them?
I agree. Yeah.
Well, I agree. And that's what I was saying about Jacksonville. Even though they did well, like, it still could be considered contrarian because people are going to psych themselves out, especially with like a Dallas defense scenario. Like, oh, they won't do that again,
It's me.
Which is what I'm doing right
literally
now. Right. Yeah.
It's what my brain does. Is exactly how it acts. He can't do that again. No. Evan Ingram, I think, is a great example of this, that we had conversations about Evan Ingram and we were running him in our lineups and we're like, I want to do it again. But there's no way he goes off like that again. And then he went off for more, I think. I think it was at the start of him like going crazy last year.
Yeah, there was like a month span where every game he was putting up 30 points or whatever it was at the end of last year. Is there anyone on here besides Dallas that scares you, Mario?
DK.
DK was my counterbalance to that.
Yes, I think Lockett might be the move here. I just don't know what to expect out of Detroit's defense yet. I can't tell if Kansas City was just off or if Detroit was just on. But
that's interesting.
I think
I could pivot to. I'm just kind of playing this out in my head. I could pivot DK to Lockett, and that gives me around an extra $1,000 that I could go and either take James Cook up to someone elite or Mike Williams.
Corey, what's your thoughts on that? I saw you shaking your head.
Well, one of the things that our other dear Rob taught me is that you're thinking about game environments. That's always an option, right? Is to pivot to a different player in the same game environment that you like. That can also be something that helps move you around in tournaments. But that being said, I think that's a good general rule of thumb to follow. I was just shaking my head because I've had that exact same conversation with myself a million times, where you're choosing between a DK and a Tyler Lockett. And because our heads are wired like they are when it comes to DFS and fantasy, we're thinking, where's the value? Can I pivot from DK to Lockett and get that value and then apply that value elsewhere? Yeah. Whereas I think what we see play out a lot of the times is DK Metcalf's a beast and he scores the most points out of that wide receiver group. And we're like, dang it, I should have just played him. And the value that you get moving James Cook to someone else, that difference can be a little bit more minimal if you're doing like a tiered thinking of the range you think James Cook will fall into. So I just think that is a possible viable play because, at the end of the day, who the heck knows what's going to happen. But I think just strategy wise, I've had to try to force myself like, okay, it's not bad to go a little bit more chalky or to just play the guy that like has the most potential to be a beast in this matchup, just because I think, maybe, it can be deceiving the value, I guess is my overall point. But I do that same thing with myself all the time. It's always an ongoing conversation.
Yeah. Like last week in Baby Bowl, I pivoted. I had Tua and Tyreek in the Baby Bowl, and I pivoted Tyreek to Jalen. So that's
pain.
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
I think the last piece I'll note on the DK thing to kind of go with that is MVS actually looked great in that game. I don't think they took that many shots, but when they did, he was semi-open and he made the play. It's kind of what I like. To me, Lockett runs very similar routes as MVS. I could see him breaking free and them taking those same shots in a game where they're going to have to keep up with Detroit, honestly. So that's my thought behind it, but I know it's scary because like Robbie's gonna be like, all right, I pivoted. The other part, and I love the insight that you're bringing to this, Corey, because you're talking about it in the mind games, and the psychological part about that is like what happens when people do this too is they get that value, right? Like maybe I convinced Robbie to go from DK to Lockett, and then he takes out. I'm going to show this once more. Rob, can you go back to it real quick?
Go ahead. Yeah.
He takes out. He would take out somebody like Cook and be like, well, I could get a much better running back now. And he goes to
Travis Etienne.
And then Travis Etienne has a piss poor game, but he did it because that value was there. And then Cook has decent to good game that he just erased that value that he caught earlier on. And just because he had the money, he decided I'll upgrade it. And then he blew what he thought through already.
Cook and the guy I upgrade to have similar games, and DK blows Lockett out of the water. Like that's where you lose that value. But I get it. I mean, at the end of the day, like if you do that, you can hit and look smart, look great. You know what I mean? So either way, it's
the mind games are just that, because at the end of the day, the game we're playing is a math game. It's pure numbers and points that add up. And Baby Bowl is a great example of this. Great format that I psyched myself out of. I had Tyreek Hill in my lineup last week too, and talked myself out of it. I think overall, when I'm sitting there on Sunday, taking in 7 hours of commercial-free football and with Scott Hansen, and eating chips and just in general like enjoying my time with friends or whatever, I want to feel good at the end of that day and not crappy about myself. And I think one of the surest ways to do that is to try to not. As a classic overthinker, try to not outthink myself sometimes. Just like, who's fun? Tyreek Hill. I'm going to play him this week,
Yeah. I completely get what you're saying, man. I don't even look at it. Well, at least last week. We'll see how it goes this week. I didn't even look at it until Sunday night. It was actually like 6 p.m. on Sunday, so it wasn't too late. Any last thoughts, boys, before we get to this? Because this game is probably kicking off right now.
Yeah, let's get to this game, baby.
In all seriousness, I just want to thank you both for having me on. I had an absolute blast. Highlighted my week for sure. I want to make it clear that I think both Mario and Rob are two of the GOATs and some of the greatest dudes I've ever met. I am in the Mario and Rob fan club, so you should have just tripled down on the Rob fan club.
Corey, you are welcome on these. Well, it's Thursdays are me and Rob only for the whole season. You are welcome whatever Thursday you want. We'll have a much better outline ready to go so you can put your notes somewhere, because I think we're getting the point of how this episode looks. So I know I'm saying that to you live and on there when I was planning on saying it to you all. See, there we go. Corey, you are awesome. And I completely agree. You are
notorious TBG. You're awesome.
So thank you for being a part of our show.
100%.
Doing one of these, what this will look like for the rest of the season with us. This was our first Thursday night in season episode outside of the last week one, which was a little bit different. So thank you for kicking it off with us. And again, welcome. And I mean that in all sincerity. Welcome whenever. Yeah.
And like I said, So, like I said, when it was me and you and we did the Minnesota Vikings, you are one of our favorite guys that we've met along this journey in the fantasy football world. So again, I echo what Mario said. Whenever you want, anytime, you're always welcome here, buddy.
I will definitely make note of that. Two quick things. Thank you for giving me a repository for all the ungodly amount of hours I spend tweaking my DFS and fantasy lineups that I do completely for free, being on no one's show. Thank you for giving me that outlet. I would love to get back on in the near future. I'll be in magical Disney World this time next Thursday with my wife, celebrating our 9-year anniversary.
Hey, congrats.
So, thank you. Yeah, looking forward to that. But I'll definitely make note. I'd love to hop on again with you guys and much sooner than later and do this again. And thanks again for having me on. And quick shout out to Dynasty Nerds, who I'm representing as well. If you all haven't checked out Dynasty Nerds yet, if you all haven't checked out Dynasty Nerds yet, dynastynerds.com, at Dynasty Nerds on the X, at Corey Easterday, all that good stuff. I've been writing for Dynasty Nerds for the last couple of years, so it's great to be able to do that with those guys. Some people I love over there, and then to be able to be on the Dad Bod Fantasy Squad with y'all just makes my fantasy football heart very full. So
we appreciate you, man. Really, it was a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to getting you back on here as soon as possible. Enjoy your anniversary.
Have fun.
For everyone, enjoy your Thursday night football. We will be back Sunday morning at noon Eastern time. Is that how you would say that? Should I just say 12 Eastern time?
Noon.
We'll be back on Sunday to do some live start and sits. I think it's the Rob show for sure that day.
Corey, more than welcome. Mario won't be there.
Yeah, it could be the Mario Hating Club day. For myself, for Corey Easterday, thank you. For Robbie Bobby, we love you guys. Peace out. Thank you for watching our episode. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
If you aren't already following us on Twitter, check us out at DadBodFS.
We'll be posting all of our best clips and videos to all of our social media: TikTok, Instagram, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube. You can find us on there at DadBod Fantasy Squad.
Lastly, if you'd rather just listen, we make sure we post our audio of each episode on all the major streaming platforms. Stick with us all season long so together we can count our trophies and not our calories.